Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Sala from Car Times Ahead. I'm glad you decided to join me today. I'm going to share how I made this cute little journal using Conifer Chronicles mini folder kit from Petals and Parchment, and I also used a freebie from her, so I'm going to link those down below, both of them. The journal was really easy to make. It's beginner friendly, I would say, and has a very low cost. It is simple, but it's pretty. Anyway, the journal measures 3.5 inches by 4 7/8, and the spine is about an inch. Like I said, this is mini folder kit, but I made the covers out of cereal box, so I actually just cut the folder in half so that I was able to cover both covers. Cover the covers, yes. Without further ado, let's get started with making this cute little project. So, as I said previously, I started with a cereal box cover, and I took an extra sliver of it, of the same box, so that I could reinforce the spine a little bit. So I just glued that on. I would recommend to think through what kind of glue you're using. I have quite a good trust on the glue that I'm using right now. It's a book binding glue. So the cover was quite slippery. It's a slick surface, but it worked well with my glue, so I could just use it as it is. But if you are using something different, some different glue, you might want to sand it up a little bit or something like that. So as you can see, I took the patterned side of the box and I glued it onto a piece of printed paper so that I could cover the original print and make it prettier. And you also saw me mark an arrow on the cover. I knew I was going to cover that with one side of the folder that I've cut in half, like you can see me figuring out here. So I just wanted to make sure that once I flip the cover the other side up, I wouldn't accidentally kind of glue these patterns upside down, so that my inside and outside of the cover would be facing the different direction, or one of them would be upside down. I hope you know what I mean. So I inked the edges of both the two sides of the folder, and now you can see me gluing them down. I didn't really have to do anything to it's the inside of the box, the original cereal box, because I thought it was quite a pretty color. And I left my cover to dry for a bit, and at that point I cut down my signatures, or the papers for the signatures, and figure out the placement where I wanted to put everything. I ended up making 2 signatures, which was quite okay for this size of a journal. I think I had, let's see, I have the project right here. Obviously I didn't think to count before I started doing this voiceover, but I had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Yeah, I think I had 7 pages folded in half in both signatures, so 14 papers folded in half altogether, which was a good amount for those 2 signatures. Then I clipped them in place for the binding part, and here you can see me just trimming the excess because I didn't want to trim the the paper that was covering the inside before the glue was dry, because like I said, the surface was quite slick, so it's quite easy to get them in. It's easy to get them to separate if you cut them when it's still wet. So I wanted to give it just a little bit time to dry. Here I'm just figuring out where the folds are, because before I started to put on any papers, sorry, I forgot to mention it before, I did score the box B's at 3.5 and 4.5 inches on the longer side, so that I would be able to actually form the cover. But if I didn't do it at that point, I could obviously do it in this point where I'm starting to bind the cover and inking everything up. And I also wanted to take a scrap piece of paper that I had and cover the spine with it, just for some extra strength and decoration, of course. Here you can see me just trying to figure out which paper I would like to use. It's a really neutral kit, which is something I love. It could go with anything kind of like vintage style. It works really greatly and it's super inexpensive. So even if you are on a low budget, this is definitely a great option. And it's not like a mini journal like this even needs like tens and tens of printed pages, so it's also quite a low cost when it comes to paper expenses and ink. Definitely a fun project in that way as well. Once I had the spine cover the size that I wanted, I just inked it up and glued it on. And I think I was thinking about making myself a template, but I went to a different direction and I just I divided the spine in 3 sections on the width side. So that's how I got the placement for my 2 signatures here. And after that I measured where the center was on the spine height-wise, and then I measured 1 inch from the top and the bottom. I first measured from the top and the bottom of the signatures, but I figured that was too far on the... Oh my goodness, I can talk today. Totally losing words. I haven't been speaking English in a while, so it really shows. But yes, I made markings for 3 holes for the, or 2 times 3 holes for the cover, and then I also made 3 holes or markings for the holes for the signatures. So here you can see I'm punching out six holes for the cover, and then I was pressing them down a little bit. If you are a beginner, it can be quite frightening to punch big holes into your project. You think it will really, really show, but that's not actually the case. Once you have bound it, it won't really show even if the holes were super big. And not only that, making the holes quite big will make it easier to bind it. So that's always a plus. Otherwise, you will be struggling. As I made the markings for the holes on the outside of the score line, that's the side I started to punch the holes through. But once I managed to make oh my goodness, make small holes, I actually went from the inside to outside to make sure that the holes really line up with all the papers, because I feel like it's easier to get them crooked if you don't do that, if you do it from outside to inside. And then I just went outside from the middle, back inside from the top, and then again outside from the bottom and back inside from the middle. I know I'm going quite fast here, but it's a standard 3 pamphlet stitch binding. So if you are a beginner and perhaps just making your first journal, just look that up. That is probably the simplest way to bind a journal in a way where it's secure. I know some people use just 2 holes, which is even simpler, and that is absolutely fine. But I just like to make sure that it's really secure and the pages won't be flipping everywhere, basically. So that's why I want to use the three holes and 3 pamphlet stitch. But if you are a beginner and want to try that, there are many tutorials that go super slow, but it's easy. You start from one side, in the middle hole, you go to the other side, and then you use one of the 2 holes that are still left to go back on the side where you started, and then you go from the 3rd hole back, or probably it's easier to find a good tutorial. Like I said, this is really fast. But I actually started the decoration process on camera. Later on, I just went on my own. But here you can see me starting by adding some pockets to the pages. There we go. It's a really easy process. I think I inked them up at some point. Maybe, not sure. Can't remember anymore. It's been a while since I've actually made this journal, because I was sick quite a lot this month, so I've lost my voice a couple of times, so I wasn't able to do this voiceover as I wanted. But now it's we are almost at the end of the month, so I'm really happy I was able to do this. I made a cluster for the cover, and you can just see me attaching it here. There we go, pressing it down really neatly. I was sure I made the cover on camera, but I guess I didn't. I'm sorry about that. But it's a really simple cluster. I just basically put some scrap pieces on top of each other to create it. So, and here you can see me just playing around, trying to figure out where I want everything to go, what I want to add, making some really simple what are those called, collages. The kit also comes with this cute little pine cone folder that has 2 pockets. You can print that on both sides of the paper so that you don't have to do anything for the inside, but I actually I just inked it up. I printed it one side and then I inked it up. And here this is usually the way I work. I start with something, then I try to figure out if it's something I like or if I want to add something. Usually I go into one direction, or I might even start with a piece that I really, really, really want to include in the project. But later on, that's the one piece that I end up leaving out of the image. So my plans often change. But I'm really glad I was able to include this cute little squirrel. Yes, that's a really hard word for me to say. One of the hardest ones, believe it or not. um, yes, but it's fun. It's whimsical and definitely works really well with this kit. I think it's yet another great kit from Elizabeth. She is really talented in making these, and I do love the vintage style. So here we go. Let's do a final flip through. Yes, final flip through of the project. I did add some lace on the cover, as you can see here, later on, after I had already put the cover piece there. And here you can see me showing you what I put in the first pocket. And there's the, yes, here's another pocket that I added, and I just put a really simple journaling card in it. There we go, with some more pieces from the same kit. It's a really fun kit, and I love the style, like I said, like maybe 7 times by now. Here is my mushroom pocket with a tag in it. I think that was really cute. Super, super cute. The doily also works well, and that page only had like 1 piece of ephemera from the kit on it, but I think that was more than enough. And here's a tip in with a small pocket and a journaling card. There we go. I tried to keep this fairly simple. I did some more decoration here and there, and I did all these fun flip outs like the one you can see here. But altogether it's quite a simple project, really low stress, because often when I make my projects I tend to bite more than I can chew, so to speak. I have these grand ideas, and then I actually struggle to finish them because I aim too high. I have too high of expectations for myself and my skills. But I love the little clusters and collages here and there there that I made, and of course pockets for the win. So I included a lot of those. I think it's always nice to have different interactive elements in my channels. And there is this squirrel pocket that you saw me making, along with another little folder and some pine cones in a tuck spot. It doesn't always have to be a full-on pocket. It can also be just a little tiny tuck spot in the corner. It will usually hold things in place quite nicely. And that is another great way to use little scraps of coffee dyed paper. We are starting to get to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed the project. I hope it gave you some ideas. Definitely go check the kit. I will link it down below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe leave a nice comment down below. There is a hop coming on later in this month, so you will be seeing a lot more of me. Thanks for joining me today, and bye bye.